So, I actually wished for Kinich's signature weapon and won the 50-50 getting it. But here's the thing, should you get it? Is it right for you? I'm going to state this right away. This video is assuming that you're planning to play Kinich a lot or even main him. If you do not plan to do this, then just stick to a free-to-play weapon like the Earthshaker, a simple attack or crit stat weapon that is overall rather general and will work on him no matter what. Basically, if you're not planning to use Kinich often enough, then don't bother worrying about this weapon. However, if you do plan to main Kinich or play him a lot, then this video is for you, and I'm here to tell you why I think that Kinich's signature weapon could be a very valuable pull. Reasons why Kinich's signature weapon could be valuable is due to three different things: consistency, flexibility, and optimization. Here's a chart that shows weapon performance for Kinich on his premier team. This is from Zajeff77 and Zyox, so shout out to them for having this chart. As you can see, Kinich's signature weapon is nearly 28% better than the free-to-play option, Earthshaker at R5. Other options like Serpent Spine can vary significantly in performance based on refinement and stacks. As you can see, Serpent Spine R5 with 5 stacks is still 10% weaker than Fang of the Mountain King at R1. Serpent Spine with 5 stacks at R1 is at 106%, which is basically 20% less. You can see all across this list that Serpent Spine has so many different power levels based on the amount of stacks and the refinement. This also means that you need to maintain your stacks, meaning that you can't get hit. So this means you either need to have enough skill to dodge quite often, or you need to run a shielder often, such as Zhongli, Toma, or Kirara. The signature weapon is rather consistent, where you don't need to worry about having to keep stacks or anything like that. Other claymores on this list are also really consistent, such as Beacon of the Reed Sea, Verdict, Redhorn Stone Thresher, and Earthshaker. These consistent weapons don't require you to need to fit certain characters into teams in order to actually use the weapon. Now, if you don't mind this, then you can run Serpent Spine or something like that, it's not a problem. But the fact that the second best weapon after the premier signature weapon is this inconsistent is a bit of a pain, and the fact that it imposes that you need to run certain teams can also make the experience rather unenjoyable. This is where flexibility comes in. The importance of team flexibility depends on the player, but Kinich has so many different team options that it would be doing you a disservice to not try them all. Serpent Spine of course limits team options due to needing a shield or needing enough skill to dodge quite often, which isn't quite that fun. Here's another issue: free-to-play players and low spenders don't quite have the best options when it comes to this list. If you remove Serpent Spine and other battle pass weapons like Talking Stick, and also assume that they aren't going for other 5-star weapons, you're pretty much left with Blackcliff Slasher and Earthshaker. Earthshaker being a craftable weapon makes it the most accessible, but Blackcliff Slasher is also rather accessible if you've been wishing, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, the problem as well is that Earthshaker R5 is when it becomes competitive. That is the baseline on this chart. And the process of refining an Earthshaker would be pretty resource intensive. Not everybody has Claymore billets lying around or Dream Solvents lying around. For those that do, then go for it. R5 Earthshaker is more than fine. It's definitely a strong weapon, and it doesn't require you to have the wish, so go for it if you have the billets and don't mind. But for those that don't have these resources, it can be a super big pain if you are also free to play and don't have these resources. You pretty much have nothing. So the third point, optimization. Kinich's best artifact set is Obsidian Codex. The 4-piece set provides 40% crit rate after consuming a Night Soul point. Kinich's weapon doesn't give excessive crit rate, actually only giving about 11%, avoiding overcapping when using Obsidian Codex. The real strength of the weapon is the high base attack and the actual passive, which is tailor-made for Kinich. Kinich's weapon's passive actually gives him up to 60% elemental skill and burst damage bonus. So these are stats that are absolutely crazy and contribute a ton of power to his damage. Again, Earthshaker R5 or Redhorn also don't interfere with crit rate or anything like that, so you easily could build Obsidian Codex around those weapons, but then the difference is that they don't match the absolute damage boost that Kinich's signature weapon gives. Remember, if you look again at the chart, Earthshaker R5 is 28% damage less than the signature weapon. If you're trying to maximize Kinich's potential, you'll want to get this weapon so that you could easily build around Obsidian Codex and get the most damage as possible. That's another problem with Serpent Spine. Serpent Spine gives 27.6% crit rate at level 90 and less attack. This means it's a lot easier to overcap when building your Obsidian Codex 4-piece, and you're not exactly getting the passive that's good for him, at least not consistently, and the attack that you're being given from the base stat of the weapon is a lot lower. Of course, at the end of the day, if you're okay with this stuff, then it's fine, but Serpent Spine is probably better on a much weaker artifact set, so you're not exactly going to get the most damage out of him. I still want to reiterate that Earthshaker R5 and similar options are still strong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them if you want them, but if you are definitely trying to max out Kinich's power, his signature weapon is extremely valuable in order to build around Obsidian Codex effectively and not feel like you're balancing your stats incorrectly, and also have the most power that you can. Again, the consistency, flexibility, and optimization from this weapon makes it valuable enough to pull for even if you are a free-to-play player. So if you're planning to play Kinich and main him, I do think that this weapon is worth going for in the long run. Whether you go for it now or on a rerun or some other time, that's totally fine. If you want to wish for other characters, save your Primo Gems, like you don't have to get it. But I personally think it was super valuable for me, as I was worried about running Serpent Spine and then having to overcap on my Obsidian Codex set, meaning that I wouldn't have as strong of a Kinich as I wanted because he's going to be one of my mains, and I really want him to be as strong as he can be. And in order to do that, it really felt like Fang of the Mountain King was exactly what I needed in order to build a proper Obsidian Codex and still get the insane damage that I'm looking for. Serpent Spine at R5 with the 5 stacks does do a lot of damage, even on weaker artifact sets, but don't get it twisted. If you're trying to max him out, this weapon is 1000% worth the pull. Also, wouldn't it be nice to have your other Claymore used on other characters? If you want to use 2 Claymores in the Abyss, maybe you want to use Navia and Kinich, and now you have 2 options instead of having to share 1 Claymore. Anyways, I digress. I don't want you guys to think that I'm pushing for this weapon too hard. I just think if you're dedicated to this character, it is 100% valuable and you would not regret pulling it at all. If you want to go for constellations, go ahead, but I personally think that this weapon is very, very valuable. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm sure you would too if you pulled it and really want to main Kinich and make him the best that he can be. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for more videos. I plan to do plenty of videos like this where I go over characters, go over general game knowledge, general information to help improve your account and experience, and of course Spiral Abyss runs to show you a bunch of different teams and characters. With that, I'm out of here. Take it easy, have a good one.